Welcome to my week 5 discussion board. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit more in depth on the cost of operations for our various aircraft that we're considering. So just as a recap, the 4 aircraft that we're looking at is the Pilatus PC-12 November Golf with a rating of 108 that we talked about in the previous PowerPoint. The Citation XLS Plus with the rating of 90. The TBM 700 Bravo with a rating of 84, and the Learjet 25 Delta with a rating of 85. So let's get right into the financial overview of all these aircraft. Still keeping in mind those ratings with the Pilatus in first, and the Citation in second, and then the TBM and the Learjet bringing up third and fourth. So overall, the fixed costs, no surprises really here. The most expensive aircraft overall, the Citation XLS Plus, with a overall price of $13 million roughly dollars. That fixed price is going to be just under $500,000. And this yearly fixed cost is going to be including all those payments that we're going to be paying. So the settings that I have set are down payment of 20%. So as soon as we get the airplane, we'll be paying 20% down, with a loan term of about 20 years. Of course, we can change that later on if we need to refinance, as well as an annual interest rate of 7% across the board. And of course, it's going to be monthly payments, so 12 payments in a year. And that all adds up into these fixed costs that you see here, with the Citation being the top dog there on the price-wise, and the TBM bringing up the cheapest. There's a little typo there, but that's $178,000, $708,000 there. Variable costs, this is stuff including a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of fuel, stuff that's going to be variable. So anything else that you can kind of think of that's not going to be a fixed price. Again, no surprises here. A little bit of a surprise with the Learjet bringing up the top, probably because of its maintenance costs that we talked about in the last PowerPoint. But otherwise, the Citation and the Learjet, they are the most expensive variably, with the Pilatus PC-12 and the TBM 700 being a pretty reasonable cost there. Hours of utilization, as we've discussed, with the more hours that an aircraft flies, the cheaper it gets, because you're just getting more out of the aircraft at that point. But this is considering kind of the same flight patterns. And this is including the Oklahoma expansion, by the way. But the PC-12 would be flying for about 467 hours in a year, whereas the Learjet 25 would be flying about 293. So out of the 4 aircraft, the PC-12 is going to be spread out more throughout the year. We're going to be getting more out of the aircraft, more flight time. So it'll be a little bit cheaper in the long run. The cost per hour, not really any surprises here. We talked about the Learjet's high maintenance costs, as well as the Citation XLS Plus. This also is including fuel and just how much it's going to cost to run this aircraft per hour. We'll talk about charter here in a second. But the yearly cost, again, Citation XLS is obviously going to be the most expensive here, with that, with all those down payments going towards a $13 million deficit. Whereas the TBM 700 is going to be the cheapest. And a little bit surprisingly, the Pilatus PC-12 is going to be cheaper than the Learjet 25 in this case, with a good $890,758. Moving on to charter, though, I kind of want to single this out since that's what we're kind of doing. Hours of utilization, with a Learjet 60 that we've been using, we're going to be getting about 293 hours of that airplane per year. So already pretty close to the Learjet 25 there, but it is the lowest amount of hours, with a $5,000 cost per hour, which is less than the Citation XLS, but with the yearly cost of $1,465. Moving on to our cost of utilization comparison, the bottom row is going to be flight hours, and the top and the y-axis there is going to be our cost. So you can kind of ignore that fractional ownership since we're not really messing with that too much. But you can see the charter aircraft that we mentioned is definitely the steepest slope there. And over time, the charter is going to